Hello, welcome to Lenny's Life Lessons. Today's discussion for remarkable relationships will provide an operating definition for love. By operating definition, I mean a definition you can put into practice to express and receive love. These discussions are intended purely for educational purposes. I offer private, individual and group counseling and coaching sessions in person, by phone, and over the internet. Please visit my website, lennylondon.com. for information about these services. My mission is to serve to advance you in living your life even more powerfully, richly, and joyfully. Subscribe if you haven't already to these educational discussions on various topics posted here by noon, 5 days a week. The definition of love in Merriam-Webster's online dictionary is A. Strong affection for another arising out of a kinship or personal ties. Maternal love for a child is, for example. 2. Attraction based on sexual desire. Affection and tenderness felt by lovers. 3. Affection based on admiration, benevolence, or common interest. Love for his old schoolmates, for example. Warm attachment, enthusiasm, or devotion. The object of attachment, devotion, or admiration. For instance, baseball was his first love. A beloved person. And an unselfish, loyal, and benevolent concern for the good of another. Webster's definition summarizes the operating definition I present here quite well. This operating definition of love goes into more detail and lays down the groundwork from which to operate. Humans are pack animals, in that we're designed to operate within groups in order to survive as individuals and as a species. To illustrate this, consider two questions. How long would the average human being survive alone in the wilderness? Not long. An individual on their own probably would not survive more than a few weeks or a few months, your average individual. There's a few exceptions to this. The survivalists, they could get by for years maybe, but the average person is not likely to fare very well for very long on their own. But if humans did live separately rather than in groups, well, how long would the species survive? Again, it would be very unlikely the human species would survive for very long if individuals attempted to get by on their own. Physiologically, humans are vulnerable to other species and have evolved successfully largely due to their ability to work together in cooperation, sharing knowledge, resources, and advancing each other and the species. We survived as a species largely because we formed cohesive, cooperative groups. And in order to ensure we group, humans must bond with each other. The vast array of needs that we are wired with ensure we bond. Our needs are the cement from which attachments are formed, which keep us bonded to each other. As cultures become more complex, so have our needs. We have many needs, which can include the need to feel safe, the need to matter, the need to feel competent, the need to feel connected, the need to be validated, the need for comfort, and so on. Everyone has their own sack full of needs, and people handle these needs differently. Some people take their sack of needs and just go out to just about everybody, holding their sack out pleading to get their needs met. And these individuals, they generally are not equipped very well to meet their own needs. And neither do they deal very well with their own unmet needs. So they desperately seek out anybody who might be willing to meet their needs for them. And then there's others who pick one individual and insist that that one person meet all of their needs. And these individuals also tend not to be equipped to meet their own needs, nor to deal very well with unmet needs. Only they'll pick out just one single person and insist that that individual meets these needs for them, rather than being open to anybody and everybody. And then there's others who take that little sack of needs and they hold it close, turn away from everybody else and withdraw to keep their needs to themselves. They'll not let anybody even attempt to meet these needs. And these individuals also tend to not be very well equipped to meet their own needs, but they'll not risk letting others close enough. They function somewhat, but with many, many defensive walls around them, to keep them safe. Then there's those who allow others who are willing and able and when appropriate to meet their needs. And these people tend to be well equipped to meet their own needs wherever possible, but also to be able to put unmet needs on the shelf when there's nobody immediately available to meet them. Now, of these different types, which one sounds the healthiest? Surely you pick the latter. When your needs get met by others, there's an automatic knee-jerk reaction from us, and that is gratitude. When your needs get met, you feel grateful. Gratitude is a warm, fuzzy feeling, and in this case, it's often confused with love. When someone shows up and meets your needs, we usually actually feel grateful. And all too often, that gratitude is perceived as love. We perceive ourselves in love with someone when we're actually simply in gratitude with them. How do we know when we love someone? The operating definition of love is being invested in your loved one's well-being, where you would do everything and anything in your power to see to their well-being. When you find yourself feeling this way, this sort of investment in another's well-being, well, then you know you love them. But there are two very important caveats. The first one is that love would have you invested in their well-being, and their well-being meaning what they want for themselves, not what you want for them. For instance, it may not be coming from love when a parent wants their child to grow up to be a doctor or a lawyer. Granted, the parent may think that this is what will make their child happy, and if that is true, if that's their only motive, then maybe they are coming from love. But typically, in fact, it's what will make the parent happy. It might to fulfill the parent's desires for what they wish they were, or make them feel like they're a good parent, or that they have some value in our society. Any case of these types of underlying motives, this is not coming from their love for their child. It doesn't mean that they don't love their child. It just means that when it comes to their child's career goals, the parent is not coming from the love they have for their child, but from their own needs. Coming from love, we want our loved ones to have, do, or be whatever they want for themselves. If you love someone who you are involved with, and they tell you they want to be with someone else, loving them is letting them go and sincerely wishing them well. Now, in this case, you've lost someone that you loved and who was probably meeting your needs. So this may be a profound loss for you. And with loving yourself will be allowing yourself to grieve. Loving them means you want them to have what they want, to be with whomever they want. So you would be happy for them and sad for yourself. The second caveat, loving someone is where you would do everything and anything in your power to see to their well-being. That's what they want for themselves. And in your integrity, everything in your power and in your integrity. Love will never ever have you violate your own values. But needs will. In order to get needs met, we're susceptible to violating any or all of our values, especially if we're not equipped to deal well with our unmet needs. To clarify further, imagine the person that you love wants you to do something that you feel is wrong or that's wrong for you. They want you to rob a store or engage in behavior that you're just not comfortable with, like eat meat if you're a vegetarian. If you were to go along with it and do what they want, violating your own values, would it be because you love them? Think about that for a moment. Absolutely not. You would never ever do anything out of line with your values because of love. You would do something that you normally wouldn't do because I love you so much out of need, but never because you love them. The only reason you would ever do such a thing would be because you need or want them to love you. And it rarely works for several reasons. If you were to do something against your values, for one thing, you're not really being you. And so if they did love you for it, well, they're not loving the real you. And chances are they wouldn't love you for it doing that anyway. They might feel grateful. And if their gratitude is what you needed or wanted, well, it paid off. But if it was their love, you're probably not going to get it when you do something that's stepping out of your own values. Now, if they were coming from their love for you, they would never want you to violate your own values in the first place. And another reason it never works, if you stepped out of your integrity to see to their well-being, you didn't do it for them. You did it for yourself, to get what you wanted or needed from them. Loving yourself works the same way. It's being invested in your own well-being. And this means doing everything and anything in your power to see to it that you have what you want and need in your life. And it does not involve stepping out of your integrity and violating your values. If you do that, this is not coming from you loving yourself. It's coming from your fears and insecurities and self-doubts. The result of violating your own values is to further damage the esteem that you have for yourself, and it rarely gets what you want in the long run. Can you love someone who shows up and is meeting your needs? Yes, absolutely. In fact, that's what's usually going on in relationships. We love them and they meet our needs. They love us and we meet their needs. And we both feel grateful. The key is to learn to distinguish when you're coming from loving them versus when you're coming from getting your needs met. There's nothing wrong with seeking to get your needs met. It is just not loving others when you do so. It is loving yourself to see to it that you get your needs met, and it is important that you do that. But if you do not see to getting your own needs met, and if you disregard yourself, you're more likely to try to push others to meet your needs for you. You must see to it that your needs are met in order to truly love and look out for the needs of others. You must also seek to get your needs met by those only who are willing and able, and when it is appropriate. For instance, your brother or sister-in-law, your brother-in-law or your sister-in-law might be willing and able to meet certain needs. That would definitely be inappropriate. It is loving to others to do everything in your power and in your integrity to see to their well-being and to see to it that they have what they want. And if you believe there is a higher power that loves you, then no, this higher power is seeing to your well-being. Seeing to it that you have everything you want in life that is for your highest good. Loving your child means seeing to your child's well-being. Eating all the candy or not doing homework may be what your child wants, but clearly is not in your child's best interest. A child's well-being is seen to with healthy limits, boundaries, natural consequences, as well as nurturing. A child does not have the experience or the reasoning ability to understand what is in its best interest. And likewise, sometimes when the higher power doesn't grant our wishes, it may be that because the higher power knows something that we don't. It can be a fine line between seeing to a child's well-being and imposing our agendas. A child might want ice cream for dinner every night, which clearly is not in the child's best interest. Or the child may want to be in the band, but you want your child to be on the football team. This is looking out for your child's interest. It's looking out for your interest over your child's interest if you push for the sports when the child wants to do music. Your child may want to play the clarinet, but you want the child to play the piano because you love the piano. It's another example. Now, it can be difficult sometimes to distinguish if you are coming from your love for somebody else or if you're seeking to get your own needs met. And there are times that you do want to see to your needs, and there are times that you want to see to their well-being and their needs. There are times when those things are compatible, and there are times when they conflict. When they conflict, getting a mutually beneficial compromise, and if that does not work, if that can't be done, do your best to see to your own needs. It's always in the bigger picture, what's best for us tends to be what's best for others. So seeing to your own needs is how you love yourself, as is allowing others to see to your needs when and they're willing and able, and when it's appropriate. And it's also, that's how you allow others to love you. This is the love that literally heals you and soothes you. This is the love that builds remarkable relationships. Subscribe now if you haven't already for ongoing support, information, and strategies for further building remarkable relationships. And please share your thoughts, your suggestions, and feedback at Lenny's Life Lessons on Facebook. And follow me at Lenny's Life Lessons on Twitter. And please visit my website, lennylondon.com. And thank you so much for joining me.